Coming up, an update from Superintendent of Vancouver Public Schools, Dr. Jeff Snell. Plus, we dive into Native American Heritage Month with VPS staff members. Plus, hear from Hudson's Bay staffer D. White on why he loves working with kids. Hello and welcome to VPS Voices. I'm Clark Hegewald, a student at Vancouver iTech Preparatory.
And I'm Jeff Snell, the superintendent of Vancouver Public Schools. Clark, it's so good to have you on the show here today. Could you tell me a little about yourself, what grade you're in, and just kind of how school's going for you?
Yeah, this year I'm a senior at Vancouver iTech Preparatory. I've been there for all 7 years, so the middle and high school, the whole shebang. And I've loved every minute of it. It's such an amazing program that we have here at VPS that I'm very happy to take the opportunity of. Lately, as a senior, I'm getting pretty busy with college applications and all the college classes, but I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, is that college application process pretty stressful?
Oh my goodness, yes. I thought I had a pretty good essay, and then I was reading through some other example essays and realized I should still do some work on my essay,
So you have an essay component, and then you got to go through just like filling out forms. And what's it like to apply for college these days?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different types of applications, but most of them use their own application portal, or they'll use a single application portal, so it makes it a little bit easier to complete your applications. But they'll ask you a bunch of different questions. You have to put in all of your grades, what classes you took, and then finally you get to the free response questions where you have to write probably 2,000 words worth of responses to various prompts that they have. That way they can gauge who you are as a person.
What has been like an interesting prompt that you've been like, huh?
Well, personally, I'm becoming a mechanical engineer hopefully here. So I was really happy when they asked me what one of my favorite STEM experiences was. Having gone to iTech, I have plenty of those. So that was a really easy prompt to get through. One of the more difficult prompts to get through actually was talking about my background, because it was just hard to come up with a fun angle with that. And there's so much that I have here from my schooling career and everything else in my life. It was difficult to find an angle, but
yeah,
it was
Did
fun.
you mentioned you went to iTech for 7 years, so you saw a lot of changes in that school. So I want to talk a little about the changes, but I also want to talk about like your elementary experience. Did you go to Vancouver Public Schools then?
Yeah, I went to Vancouver for my elementary schooling. I first went to Lincoln Elementary for kindergarten, and there I took the advanced placement test or something similar and was put into the challenge program. And I went actually right over here to Roosevelt Elementary for that.
Nice. And so you went into iTech, and at that time they didn't have the school that you have now, right?
No, that's correct. We were at the Jim Parsley Community Center up in the second story, annoying all the dental workers who were beneath us. But thankfully we're out and they have a little bit of a quieter experience, and we have our own building to do a lot of workshop stuff. And
yeah, and it's on the Washington State University campus.
Yep.
And so are you taking some courses at Washington State University as well, or?
Yeah, I'm this year not actually taking any classes at iTech. I'm taking 2 classes at Clark College as part of Running Start, and then I am also taking 2 classes up at WSU Vancouver as part of my residency at iTech.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's pretty fun.
So are you feeling like, I know the application process for college is big and stressful, but you've had a little bit of taste of what it might look like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's why I'm looking forward to college, because I know I'll be able to handle it. It's just getting into it now.
Yeah. What other things like are important to you, Clark, as a student or a person in this community? How do you spend your time? What kinds of things interest you?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing in my life, just in general, is helping other people. That's why I want to become a mechanical engineer, and it's why I do a lot of the stuff in my free time that other people might consider work, but it's really just fun for me. I'm involved in a lot of our community service clubs at iTech. I'm involved in our Key Club, our National Honor Society, our student leadership, and I really have a fun time with those, taking leadership roles so that way I can better the club. And this year it's been a little bit of trying to step down so that way I can make sure that there's other students to fill in those positions. But I really love helping other people. That's my calling.
Where do you think that came from?
I think it mainly came from my parents. I managed to get both of my parents' traits. My mom was a teacher here at VPS, so naturally I had some of those qualities of wanting to help and engage with others. And then my dad is a mechanic, so I think that's why I want to be a mechanical engineer. And
kind of a great blend of both of them, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome. And you've helped with the student advisory for us, so you were instrumental in kind of developing that model with some other students last year.
Mm-hmm.
And how's it going? What are your thoughts about that?
It's going really good. I like what we have set up, and I think it's very well structured, and there's a lot of background work going on so that the students just have to focus on what's important. I appreciate you and your team for that. It's been really easy for the students to just get the work done. A lot of sharing going on. It's looking very promising that we'll have an end product that we can share with the entire district. We have a couple ideas in the works, and I'm really excited to see them come to fruition.
Nice. And I know you as a student group have been really paying attention to belonging and how students are feeling in schools. And has that focus changed the way you look at schools now, or has it influenced kind of your approach at school in any way?
Good question. So as far as how I look at schools, a little bit, yes, because I come from iTech, and it's a relatively small school. I think we have about 600 students now, so it's getting bigger. But just the other day, we toured Fort Vancouver High School, which is a much bigger school. So as far as what other schools look like, yes, my perspective is changing as a student as to what our entire district is like, and I know more anecdotal rather than just facts about the district. And it's been really helpful to help think about what sort of projects would be helpful to improve the district.
Nice. Well, maybe we can have some of you come back at the end and tell us about the projects, whatever they come to be. But I know I sure enjoy working with you all, and I'm grateful for the commitment that you make to help other students. I think that's a common theme I hear all the time, is that the student advisory really wants to understand, like, how can they improve other people's experiences, and that warms my heart. I think that's really important to what we do as a district. So we're going to learn about what we do as a district on today's show, and I'm happy that you're going to be a co-host with me.
Yeah, should be fun.
Let's take a moment to talk about a favorite for this show. This month, it's the Padlet we worked on with staff to share their strategies for building belonging in our schools. Padlet is a website that lets people add their thoughts to a larger conversation. We had a lot of great responses from staff members. One I particularly enjoyed centered on a school counselor who encouraged their counselor interns to make Friday feel-good calls to parents to let them know about the positive things their child is doing at school. It's really rewarding to read the ways staff members are making school a more inclusive place for each of our students. We're currently in the middle of Native American Heritage Month, and I wanted to talk with staff members about their Native descent, about their heritage, and the work that they do every day with students. Here's some of our conversation.
Sometimes as like an Indigenous person, there's just the feeling that it's always talked about as in like the past. Like when you talk about Native people, it's like, oh yeah, the 1800s, like it's some of their past. But no, we're very present, and current things are happening, and just understanding what really is happening and what's the history and like what it is today, and not just people in the past, but now, present, today. If someone asks me, like, being like Native American is, what tribe are you, right? And even that question brings up like, complexity and diversity, and I'm Kalapuya, but I'm also like enrolled in Confederate Tribes of Siletz, and on my mom's side there's like Choctaw, but you look at like the history of like that in the Willamette Valley and where people came from and how people been moved around, and our perspectives, I think is just really important to learn about. So it's to just keep learning more and recognizing more and kind of understanding, where people come from, and what can we learn from that, and what are those experiences, I just think it's super important. I think for me, as teaching science, kind of my perspective on, I don't know, it's weird, like nature or outdoors or like animals or whatever, like I kind of just think it's just a different perspective. So when I'm taking like a scientific perspective versus my own personal feelings about nature and connections and all that type of stuff. I think they can kind of be interwoven together in a different perspective. It's just really important the more we learn about different cultures and backgrounds and celebrate those and learn from one another. It's kind of cool.
All right, let's do some Q&A. We have some questions, and Dr. Snell has some answers. First up, a question about the changing COVID-19 rules. I heard that COVID-19 vaccination rules are changed. What are the current guidelines, Dr. Snell?
Yeah, I'll try to have the answers on some of these, Clark, because the guidelines around COVID and the pandemic, as everyone knows, have evolved over time. But the governor's proclamation recently expired on October 31st, and part of that was a vaccination requirement for staff and for volunteers in our schools. And so that's no longer a requirement in place. So the big change, I think, is that volunteers who are not vaccinated now can volunteer again. And so we've missed volunteers through the last several years. So it's a good opportunity for us to, again, to have more people in our schools and more people helping and supporting students.
Awesome. Next, someone asks, what's going on with the district's buses? We've had some changes to our route.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry if your route was affected. We have great bus drivers that are doing the best that they can. Fortunately, we don't have enough of them sometimes. And so we've had to do some double runs, and we've had some late buses and things of that nature just to try to make sure that we have enough people to get all the kids to and from where they need to go. And sometimes that affects the timing of the routes. We're in better shape now. Like we actually have as many drivers now as we try to start the year with each year. And so that's really, really good news. But we also don't have a lot of margin for error when drivers get sick and things of that nature. So we're hopeful that as we head into kind of the winter season that we can continue to recruit bus drivers. If you want to be a bus driver, let us know. We would love to have you on our team. It's an awesome team. They have a lot of fun down in the transportation center and care a lot about what they do for our community. And it's such an important aspect of school, really, because if you think about it, a kid starts their day often and ends their day with a bus driver, and so that relationship can be a really positive for them. And so if you want to join the team, let us know.
Our final question now. This is my favorite part of the school year, at least, with Thanksgiving coming up and all the trees turning colors. But what's your favorite part about the school year?
Gosh, that's a great question, Clark. I think there's certain times that I really enjoy. I think the start of a school year is always really pretty special. There's a lot of hope and optimism for years as you start. I also really like the fall too. I like the change in the weather. I like going to some of the outdoor events when the air is a little crisp. So that's fun. One of the parts of the year I don't like a lot is the early mornings when we're not sure if snow's coming or ice is coming, because there's a lot of pressure on trying to make the right decision. People have strong opinions on whether there should be a snow day or not. So I'm always happy when the spring comes back around and I'm not having to worry about that. And then another highlight of the school year is always graduations. There's something really special about being able to see high school graduates, like right before they go onto stage to get their diploma. There's this nervous energy about them, and you can just kind of see like this culmination, but really it's just like this opening of all these new opportunities. And so those are things that jump to my mind as being pretty special about the school year. We're very fortunate to be staff in public education, because we get to see some pretty amazing things for kids and families and be witness to like some pretty amazing moments. So it's hard to pick one. Now it's time for another favorite segment, In Our Own Words. Students and staff share with us their experiences. And this time it's D. White, a staff member at Hudson's Bay High School, who is also a student in Vancouver Public Schools. So I can't wait for you to hear from D.
I did. I actually grew up in Vancouver. I went to Harney Elementary. I went to Mac Middle School. I did 2 years at Hudson's Bay High School, and then I finished over at Columbia River High School. So I'm a VPS product. It's been a journey. I knew that I always wanted to coach. So with that, that kind of led me into, well, if you want to coach and you want to work with kids in that capacity, you have to do something in the education field. Looked at teacher at first and realized I didn't quite think that was for me, and just kind of through conversations with other mentors and other people landed on school counseling. It's the relationships. It's just, when you look back at your educational career, I know I can look back at mine, I go, there's always that one teacher I can talk about, or that one coach, and I've got plenty of stories about that, and I'm just hoping, 10, 15, 20 years from now, there's one kid out there that goes, man, Mr. White, he was my basketball coach, or he was my school counselor, or my dean of students, and share that story with whoever. I would say, I had the opportunity, I look back, especially my years in high school, I look back on some of the coaches and teachers I had, and the way that they challenged me to, not only in my athletic career, but just educationally, just to be the best I could, and achieve higher goals. When I look back, my 16, 17, 18, I didn't really, the goals weren't quite there. It was just, something to do, but they challenged me to look at the bigger picture, and I started to build that plan, and so that's kind of my hope. Just normalcy in the sense of, like the last few years have not been normal for anybody, so just getting back to that, the joy. I'm looking forward to the homecomings, the winter formals, Friday night football, plays, music. I'm just looking forward to all that, and just hoping that every kid finds their niche that brings in the joy, and then if they don't, then maybe I can help them find that niche.
Now let's end with something fun. Here are our favorite social media posts from around the district. Let's start with Janelle Wildeman, who is the Shape Washington Adapted Physical Education Teacher of the Year. Shape Washington is a nonprofit that encourages physical education best practices. Janelle teaches at Houck Elementary School. In her tweet, she says she loves what she does, and we love what she does for kids. Thank you, Janelle.
Next up, the Skyview Stormbots, whose girls team won the general championship at their last competition. They defeated a number of teams from across our area to take home the title. The Stormbots robotics team is part of the Science, Math, and Technology program at Skyview. They compete throughout the year, and their robots are just amazing. So if you have the chance to see them in person, make sure you take it.
Our final tweet comes from the Fort Vancouver National Historic Site. They're once again hosting field trips from local students who are learning about the history of our region. If you've never been, a trip to the fort is a fun day, and I'm glad our students are able to experience that again. I know it was one of my favorite experiences in our district. Well, we're just about out of time. Thank you a lot for having me, Dr. Snell. It's been amazing to be here.
Clark, it's so much fun to just get to co-host these with students, and I'm glad you were able to be a part of this show as well. So until next time, we'll see you soon, and hopefully continue to tune in to VPS Voices.